I'm not sure you could really call it a tradition, but I've made it a point to include a Pokemon video in each of my 12 Days series. Not because they do especially well in comparison to other videos, or even because Pokemon is so essential to the identity of my channel, but rather because I simply feel as though I will never have said enough about Pokemon. It is a franchise so layered with interesting concepts and phenomena worth analyzing that sometimes I don't even know where to begin a new idea. In the first season, I talked about what the broader appeal of Pokemon was, and in the second, I cautioned against misreading the Pokemon anime's intentions in order to find what makes it so engaging. So what then should I talk about to close out this trilogy? Honestly, what I'd really wanted was to catch up on Pokemon Journeys and do something about that, but since I'm a binge watcher, I'm currently about 130 episodes behind, so there wasn't much of a point in trying to catch up just for this video. That doesn't mean I don't have any Pokemon anime from this year to talk about though. On the contrary, aside from the main TV anime, we also got a 3-episode web series titled Pokemon Hisuian Snow to promote the release of Legends Arceus, and as such, takes one of the core elements of what made that game so fun and ran with it. Much like the game it's based on, Hisuian Snow takes place hundreds of years in the past, at a time where humans and Pokemon still live separately from each other, often out of fear. Despite this, a young boy named Akio is determined to learn more about the Pokemon who inhabit this world, thus leading his village into a confrontation with Pokemon that will change the course of their futures forever. Presentation and narrative aside, the concept behind this story alone is something I find immensely fascinating. I've always said that the core appeal of this franchise is the interactions between humans and Pokemon, whether it be through battles, contests, research, friendship, recreation, or any other manner of cooperation. To turn that core concept completely on its head and ask the question, what if humans and Pokemon didn't interact, is an inherently interesting line of thought. Given that the runtime of this series is less than a half hour in total, there's not exactly a lot of breathing room for exploring this concept. Yet Hisuian Snow still manages to strike at the heart of the issue almost effortlessly. Centering the bulk of the runtime around Akio's interactions with a wild Zorua instills that childlike wonder that we're used to, but the contrast against his father's cold and frightened attitude towards Pokemon gives off a notable air of unease. And this contrast is intensified in the 3rd episode by having the rest of the village pile on with their anti-Pokemon attitudes. At the same time, the Pokemon in this series are possibly the most animalistic we've ever seen. Constantly wary of humans and always ready to fight if need be, these don't seem like the cute, playful creatures we're used to, something that I honestly wouldn't doubt people being afraid of. It's not until Akio puts his own life on the line for the sake of an injured Pokemon and shows that humans and Pokemon can communicate and understand each other that the ball finally starts rolling and his village begins to take steps towards living in harmony with Pokemon. I'm not sure if any episodes of the TV anime have, to some degree or another, dealt with the idea of humans living separately from Pokemon, but even if they have, these episodes would naturally come from the position of this being an oddity. Ash and friends would immediately point out how weird this is, thus painting this isolationist attitude as unnatural. Hisuian Snow, however, has no such narrative predisposition. The audience finds this unnatural from a meta-narrative stance since we already understand the baseline mode of thought the series usually follows, but that concept has not been applied to the entire narrative before. And it blows me away that we're this deep into the life of this franchise and it's still coming up with new ways to reinvent itself and find new stories to tell. That is what I mean when I say Pokemon is endless. No matter how many different anime or video games or manga this franchise creates, it never seems to run out of stories to tell. We're over 25 years in and still encountering new ideas and untrodden ground. Even in the midst of me putting this video together, the Pokemon Company made perhaps the most unprecedented announcement in the franchise's history: that Ash will be retired as the TV anime's main character at the end of this season. It almost feels unreal that the face of the Pokemon anime will be taking his final bow just a few months from now. The last decade has probably been the best time it's ever been to be a fan of the Pokemon TV series, and Ash's growth during that time has been a huge part of that. It's gonna be kinda sad to see him go, but I think it's the right time to part ways and let a fresh face take over. And I can't wait to see what direction the anime will go in after his departure. The fundamental core of this franchise is so simple, yet so flexible and wide-reaching that it can throw together just about any kind of story with ease. Are all of them good? Absolutely not. Even way back in the very beginning, we had our fair share of stinkers. But all of that still can't put a damper on the never-ending stream of good that overwhelms it. Whether it's the intensity and hype of a league tournament, or the explosive fun of just seeing Pokemon be Pokemon, as bombastically silly as a musical short, or as serious and emotional as dealing with the loss of a parent, the potential for intriguing storytelling is practically limitless. As far as I can remember, this journey all began with a single card. A Pikachu from the Jungle set that was given to me at some kind of Pokemon event. Or maybe it was this Pikachu plushie that I got at a local fair. Precisely where I started hardly seems to matter at this point, because I'm here now, practically born and bred into the Pokemon fandom, one that perfectly aligned with my specific interests and media preferences so acutely that I've been attached at the hip ever since. Whether it's the games, the anime, the manga, or just the mere concept of a given character, Pokemon has been an endless source of joy and excitement since day one. Experiences like the different playthroughs of all the Pokemon games I've had over the years, or this 3-episode miniseries, or any number of uniquely wonderful narrative encounters are what keep me coming back to Pokemon over and over and over again. It's a franchise with endless possibilities for creativity, ambition, and a deep emotional connection with its audience. Even after all this time, Pokemon is still coming up with new and exciting ideas, crafting memorable adventures for fans of all ages. And as I finally get a chance to dive into the latest Pokemon experience, I can only imagine what kind of story is in store for me next. Special thanks to Rourke Tenjoin, Chris Adili, Ryan Johnson, and all my other patrons for their generous support. My name is Ember, and I'll see you next time.